5 hidden things in the Quran you probably didn't know. May peace and mercy be upon you. The Quran is not just a book of laws or ancient stories. It is a living map of the human soul, a mirror that reveals secrets that we don't always see at first glance. Today, I will share with you 5 hidden things in the Quran that you probably didn't know, and that could transform the way you see the world, your heart, and even your relationship with Allah. Keycap 1. The secret conversation between Allah and every soul. Imagine a king, immensely powerful and majestic. His palaces shine with light, his armies cover the earth, and his treasures are endless. Yet, amidst this grandeur, he takes the time to address each subject, not in a crowd, but individually. Imagine him calling you by your first name, and only you hearing his voice resonate in your heart. That moment would be forever etched in your being. Well, that's exactly what happened, but not in this world. It was long before you were born, long before your eyes were opened to the light of this earth. It was at the time when Allah, in his infinite knowledge and wisdom, made every human soul bear witness. An intimate, personal conversation, an invisible encounter that we still carry in the depths of our consciousness. The Quran reveals this secret to us in a moving passage. Open book, and when your Lord brought forth offspring from the loins of the sons of Adam, and made them testify against themselves, Am I not your Lord? They said, Yes, we do testify. Surah Al-Araf 7:172. This verse is not a mere narration of a past event. It is the root of your existence. Even before you had a name, a face, a story, your soul recognized the sovereignty of Allah. You responded. You said yes. Milky Way, a memory buried deep in the soul. It's fascinating to think that somewhere deep inside you, there's a hidden memory. You may not consciously remember it, but your heart knows it. That's why even those who stray, who doubt, or who reject, always keep a spark within them. A voice that whispers in the silence of the night, a feeling that the truth exists, that it calls to them. This encounter with Allah was not a mere protocol. It was a promise that every human being has made. This is why, deep within you, there's this quest, this desire for meaning, this search for a return. You are not just seeking happiness or success. You're seeking to return to the one before whom you have already said yes. Dove, the story of a man in search of truth. It is said that a man, lost in his life choices, crossed philosophies, religions, and ideologies. He never found peace. But one day, alone in his room, he looked up to the sky and said, "O you who created me, guide me." At that moment, he felt a serenity that no book or speech had ever given him. It was as if his soul had found the echo of that old conversation, as if the buried promise had resurfaced. And this is the reality of every human heart. No matter the distance, no matter the mistakes, the first word your soul spoke still resonates. Yes, you are our Lord. Why did Allah make us bear witness? Some people ask, why did Allah make every soul testify before coming into this world? The answer is clear, so that no one can say on the day of judgment, I didn't know. I've never heard of you. The Quran expresses this forcefully. Open book, so that you do not say on the day of resurrection, indeed, we did not pay attention. Surah Al-Araf 7:172, sweet do verse it. This testimony is therefore a proof inscribed within ourselves. You do not need to look far to feel the existence of Allah. It already beats in your heart, like a memory forgotten but never erased. A promise that follows you every day. Think about it. Every call to prayer you hear, every breath of life you take, every beauty of creation you contemplate is but a reminder of that first moment, like a constant echo that says to you, you have already recognized your Lord. Remember, this is why moments of true faith, the moments when you cry in prayer or feel Allah's presence in your heart, seem so natural. Because in reality, they're not new discoveries. They are reunions. Crescent moon, the question that awakens the soul. So, think about it. What if your whole life was really just one great quest to honor that first promise? What if every trial, every joy, every loss was just a reminder to bring you back to that inner voice that said yes to Allah? Your soul already knows its Lord. Your mission is not to seek an alien truth, but to remember. Sparkle's inspiring question: what if your current life is just a reminder of a promise you already made to Allah? Keycap 2: the Quran contains the invisible healing of the heart. It is narrated that one day, a group of the Prophet's companions were passing through a village. Its inhabitants asked them for help. A man had been stung by a scorpion, and his pain was unbearable. One of the companions approached, recited Surah al-Fatiha over him, and by Allah's permission, the man was cured. This story may seem miraculous, but it reveals a deeper truth. The word of Allah is not just words. It is a healing, a light that soothes and restores. But there is more to healing than the body. For the most painful wounds are not always visible. Who has never felt a weight deep in their chest? A pain that neither medication, nor friends, nor distractions can erase? These are the wounds of the soul, the sadness that consumes, the fear that suffocates, the anguish that gnaws away in silence. And this is precisely where the Quran acts, like a divine remedy that penetrates to the depths of the being. The Quran clearly reminds us, "Open book, O mankind! There has come to you from your Lord a warning, and a healing for what is in the breasts, and guidance and mercy for the believers." Surah Yunus 10:57. The invisible wound that no one sees. Imagine a person who smiles in public, who sometimes even laughs, but who, once alone, collapses in tears. Those close to them think they're fine, but their heart is broken. How many of us carry these invisible wounds? They don't bleed, they don't leave visible scars, but they hurt more than a physical wound. The Quran was not revealed only to guide humanity, but also to heal what no one sees. Each verse is a divine caress. Each word is a balm for a tired heart. Milky Way healing that comes down with the word. Think about it for a moment. Why do so many people find peace by reciting or listening to the Quran, even without always understanding the Arabic language? Because it is not just a text. It is a light descended from heaven, a living word that directly touches the soul. The tears that flow when you listen to a recitation are not the result of mere emotion. They are a purification. It is your heart recognizing its remedy. A man recounts, "I was at the lowest point in my life. I had lost a loved one, and nothing could ease my pain. One night, I came across a recitation from the Quran. The verses spoke of paradise and the mercy of Allah. I didn't understand everything, but I started crying like a child. And for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. It was no coincidence. It was not just a beautiful voice. It was the invisible healing wrought by the word of Allah." Light bulb: why does the Quran heal? Because it speaks to what is eternal in you, your soul. The doctor heals your body, but only Allah knows the pain hidden in your heart. The Quran acts as a light that reveals your fears, your mistakes, your shortcomings, but also as a hand that soothes them. And sometimes healing comes not by immediately erasing the pain, but by giving the strength to bear it, the patience to endure it, and the hope to see beyond. The Quran says, "Open book, those who believe, and whose hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah." Is it not in the remembrance of Allah that hearts find rest? Surah Ar-Raid 13:28. This verse is not a theory. It is a promise. Crescent moon healing through listening and recitation. It is surprising that even modern science now recognizes that the rhythmic recitation of the Quran soothes stress, slows the heart rate, and promotes serenity. But long before these discoveries, believers already knew from experience that the Quran is a refuge. When you recite it slowly, when you meditate on it, it is not only your tongue that moves, it is your heart that breathes again. Water wave when the Quran washes away wounds. Invisible healing doesn't mean your problems magically disappear, but the Quran works like rain falling on parched land. The pain is still there, but it becomes bearable. Fear is present, but it is transformed into confidence. Anxiety exists, but it is diluted in the certainty that nothing happens to you without your Lord's knowledge. Rose true healing, returning to Allah. Ultimately, the Quran's healing isn't just about soothing your inner wounds. It's about bringing you back to the one who can truly save you. Because all the pain in this world is temporary, but the connection with Allah is eternal. And if you want to taste this healing, you must take a step towards Him. Open the Quran not only with your eyes, but with your heart. Keycap 3. Every letter read is an eternal treasure. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine. Every time you open the Quran and pronounce a single letter with your lips, that letter transforms into a light that travels beyond time. Not a fragile light like a candle that a breath can extinguish, but an eternal, indestructible light that awaits you in the hereafter. Nothing you read is lost. Every syllable, every word, even the smallest recitation done with sincerity is engraved in your eternity. The Prophet conveyed to us an extraordinary promise. Whoever reads a letter from the book of Allah will have a good deed, and every good deed is multiplied by 10. Reported by At-Tirmidhi. And Allah confirms in the Quran. Open book, whoever comes with a good deed will have 10 times as much. Surah Al-An'am 6:160. Gemstone of wealth that we underestimate. We spend hours looking for ways to invest in our future, work, studies, savings, projects. But how often do we think about the ultimate investment? The one that knows no bankruptcy, no inflation, and no losses? Each letter recited is like a precious coin deposited into your eternal account. If you read just Alif Lam Mim, that already represents 3 good deeds, multiplied by 10 or 30 rewards, and all in a few seconds. Imagine then if you read an entire surah, then several pages, then the entire Quran. You are accumulating an invisible fortune waiting to shine for you on the day of judgment. Milky Way, the story of a poor rich man. It is said that a very poor man used to recite the Quran every night. His neighbors would mock him. You have nothing, not even enough to feed your family, and you waste your time reciting? He smiled and replied, I may be poor here, but I am building my palace in the hereafter. Years later, he died without having amassed any earthly riches. But the angels welcomed him with a brilliant light, for his recitations had become an eternal heritage. What others did not see, he built every night, a treasure of light. Crescent moon reading the Quran, a work that never ends. The wonderful thing about recitation is that it doesn't depend on your wealth, status, age, or knowledge. Everyone can access it. The trembling old man reading slowly, the child reciting his first surahs, the tired woman finding a moment between her tasks to read a few verses. Each one deposits a jewel in its eternal chest. Even one who struggles to read Arabic, who stumbles over the letters, receives a double reward, one for his recitation and one for his efforts. What generosity is greater than that of Allah? Herb the light that accompanies you. The Prophet said that the Quran will come on the day of judgment as an intercessor for his companions. Imagine this moment. You stand before Allah. Your record of good deeds is weak. Your sins weigh heavily. But then, the Quran steps forward to plead on your behalf. O Lord, he recited to me. He spent time with me. And at that moment, what you thought was a few minutes of reading each night will become your eternal deliverance. Water wave the hidden effect of each letter. Do not believe that reading the Quran only has an impact in the hereafter. Each letter read today also enlightens your heart. It drives away forgetfulness, strengthens faith, and purifies your spirit. Like rain that nourishes parched earth, regular recitation makes patience, confidence, and serenity flourish within you. Sometimes you don't feel the effects immediately, like a seed buried in the earth. But over time, it grows and bears fruit. Candle, a question of perspective. Think about it. We spend so much time talking, writing messages, repeating worthless words. Yet, if we replaced even a fraction of these words with a recitation of the Quran, we would already be building our eternity. Every letter, every word is an investment. not a short-term investment, but one that increases in value infinitely. Rose the secret of those who build in silence. There are people who, without noise, without making speeches or attracting attention, build their hereafter every day through recitation. They may be invisible here below, but they will be the richest in the next world. For their capital is not measured in gold or silver, but in luminous letters that shine like stars in their account books. Keycap, for the Qur'an speaks to nature and the stars. Have you ever looked up at the sky on a clear, cloudless night? You think you see silence, yet it is not silence. It is a symphony that your ear cannot hear. Every star shines like a musical note. Every tree breathes a melody. Every bird sings a praise. What we call nature is not silent. It is a vast choir glorifying its creator. And if you don't hear it, it's only because your human ear is too limited. The Quran reveals this secret to us. Open book, the seven heavens and the earth, and those in them glorify him. And there is nothing that does not proclaim his praise, yet you do not understand their glorification. Surah Al-Isra, 1744. Milky Way, the hidden song of creation. Imagine for a moment that your senses were unlocked and you heard that invisible song. You would see the mountains vibrate like drums, the rivers flow like melodies, the stars twinkle like celestial choirs. It would be deafeningly beautiful. But even if we don't hear it, your soul feels it. That's why you feel soothed in nature, by the sea, under a starry sky, or in the heart of a forest. Without knowing it, you are synchronizing with the praise of the universe. The secret language of simple things. Every element of creation has its own way of praising Allah. The tree prostrates itself with its shade, the flower glorifies with its fragrance, the bird sings with its song. We think that only human speech can praise. But Allah reminds us that everything, absolutely everything, participates in this divine concert. In another surah, he says, Open book, have you not seen that those in heaven and on earth, and the birds that spread their wings, glorify him? Everyone knows his prayer and his glorification. Surah An-Nur, 2400 hours, 41. Note this sentence. Everyone knows their prayer. This means that the blade of grass by the side of the path, the wave crashing against the rock, or the wind caressing your face, all know how to praise their creator. Crescent moons, stars like living lanterns. Among the most powerful images is that of the stars. To us, they're only points of light in a distant sky. But the Quran describes them as lanterns, signs, and even missiles against demons. They are not dead. They actively participate in the cosmic order willed by Allah. They shine and fade, move and settle, as if dancing in an eternal choreography. And each spark is a silent praise addressed to the Creator. Dove, the story of the traveler and the sky. It is said that a man, overwhelmed by life's trials, got lost in a desert. One night, while he was alone, he looked up at the sky filled with stars. At that moment, he felt a peace he had never known, as if the stars were whispering to him, You are not alone. We too praise Allah, and you too join our song. That moment transformed his heart. He understood that even lost in the immensity, he was part of an entire creation that remembered Allah. Water wave, when nature awakens your heart. You've probably already felt that thrill before a sunrise, that deep silence facing a mountain, or that serenity when the wind blows through the leaves. Why? Because in these moments, your soul aligns with creation. It remembers that everything is in a state of submission, Islam, before Allah. And then you understand that you are not separate from the rest of the universe. Your worship is not isolated. It joins an immense universal prayer. Light bulb, the reminder for the distracted man. But alas, man often does not see. He walks on the earth as if it were dead. He looks at the sky as if it were a backdrop. He hears the birds as background noise. Yet, each of these elements reminds him of Allah, but he does not understand their language. The Quran came precisely to awaken this perception, to remind you that every sunset is an invitation, that every drop of rain is a word, that every breath of wind is a glorification. Rose, learn to listen differently. What if the next time you look up at the stars, you see not just points of light, but shimmering prayers? What if the next time you hear a bird singing, you thought not just of a pleasant sound, but of praise to Allah? Your life would change, for you would walk in a world vibrant with remembrance. Sparkle's inspiring question. And if you could hear the secret song of the stars, would it remind you of Allah? Keycap 5. The Qur'an knows your soul better than you know yourself. There are days when your heart feels heavy, and you don't know why. You wake up in the morning with an inexplicable weight, like a silent shadow following you. You don't know where this sadness comes from. No one around you sees it, but you feel it in every breath. And then, in this state, you open the Qur'an. Your eyes fall on a verse that, word for word, describes what you feel. You remain frozen. How is this possible? It is as if Allah had heard you even before you spoke. As if He had placed in your book the answer to your sorrow, long before you were born. This is no coincidence. It is proof that the Qur'an is not a fixed text. It is a living mirror. It knows your soul better than you know yourself. The Qur'an says, "Open book, we have sent down to you the book which explains everything and is guidance, mercy, and good news for the Muslims." Surat An-Nahl, 16 hours, 89 minutes. When the Qur'an reads in you. We think we're reading the Qur'an, but often it's the Qur'an reading us. It explores our fears, our doubts, our hopes, and responds to them with stunning precision. One day a woman in distress opened the Qur'an and read, "Open book, do not be discouraged or grieve, while you are the highest, if you are believers." Surah Al-Imran, 3:139. She cried silently. She needed to hear exactly that. Not a word more, not a word less. This verse had been there for 1,400 years. But on this day, it was a personal letter written to her. Crescent Moon, the intimate encounter. The Qur'an is not a general textbook. It speaks to you personally. It doesn't just speak to the masses. It speaks to your heart in its moments of solitude. When you are afraid, He offers you words of security. When you are lost, He shows you direction. When you doubt, He reminds you of the evidence. When you despair, He opens the door of hope before you. The most amazing thing is that you can read the same verse at two different times in your life and find two different answers. Because your state changes, but the word of Allah remains eternally alive. Milky Way, the story of an awakened heart. A young man says, "I was in a period of deep doubt. I wondered if Allah was still listening to me, if my prayers had any meaning. I opened the Qur'an, and the first verse I read was, 'Open book, and when my servants ask you about me, then I am near. I answer the call of the one who calls on me when he calls on me.'" Surah Al-Baqarah, 2:186. I burst into tears. It was as if Allah was saying to me, "I hear you. I have never stopped being here." It was no accident. It was a divine appointment. Light bulb, the book that knows your secrets. Your soul is filled with thoughts, hurts, and memories that you have never revealed to anyone. But Allah knows them, and in His book, He has placed answers tailored to each of these flaws. This is why the Qur'an is described as a mercy, for it does not merely expose your weaknesses, it repairs them. It does not merely reveal your doubts, it dispels them. It does not merely remind you of your mistakes, it offers you the path to forgiveness. Dove, when the Qur'an becomes a confidant. Many seek an ear to listen, a friend, a loved one, sometimes even a stranger. But how many times have you opened the Qur'an as one would open a conversation with a confidant? Every time you read, it is as if Allah answers you. You speak in your prayer, and you listen to His answer in the Qur'an. It is a silent but real dialogue, an intimate exchange between your soul and your Creator. Rose, the Qur'an and the psychology of the soul. Today, many turn to modern science to understand emotions, anxieties, and inner wounds. But the Qur'an had already spoken of the states of the soul that incites evil and nafs loves bisu, the soul that blames itself and the law of the land, the soul at peace and the dead. He does not just diagnose, He offers treatment, remembrance of Allah, patience, repentance, trust. Crescent Moon, one page, one appointment. So the next time you open the Qur'an, remember, it's not a coincidence. Every page is an answer. Every verse is an appointment. You may think you stumbled upon a verse by coincidence, but in reality, it was your soul that was guided to that precise moment. Prayer. O Allah, you who know the secrets of our hearts better than we know ourselves, make the Qur'an the light that illuminates our darkness, the balm that heals our wounds, and the voice that soothes our souls when they're lost. Ya Rab, remind us on every page of the covenant we made with you, and make every verse we read a personal answer to our doubts and prayers. Don't leave us alone with our sorrows, but guide our eyes to your book until our hearts finally find peace in you. Amen. Rose.